Ezra here. I'm in Israel, and today I'm asking you, what is the basic misconception of able people who fail? Let's look. You start with one cell and then 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Or you start with one employee and then you get to 2, 4, 6, etc. Or you start with dating and then marriage and then children, etc. This, of course, is if it all goes well. But, and this is the but, what happens when it does not go well? Number one, what is the difference? Number two, what are you doing differently? And three, why? Well, let's first look at what you do differently. What you do differently at the times that you succeed and at the times that it doesn't go so well, the usual time. So you started a business or a relationship or a hobby, and it is exciting. What do you actually do when you start something? It's really fascinating. What do you actually do when you start something? What you do is actually you take a small thing and grow it. Yes, right? Now, how do you do that? Fascinating. You multiply it. Now, multiply is defined as to increase in an amount. And the first law for you to know is to grow anything, you multiply it. You make more of the same. You don't actually change things. What you do, you make more of the same. Now, when things do not go well, what you do differently is actually you change rather than multiply. Now, the misunderstanding is that multiply does not mean change. You do it in many ingenious ways. But still, the problem is that you are changing rather than multiplying. Let me explain. Every time you start a business, a relationship, an employee, a hobby, and something is not optimal, you decide you need to change something. And that's a big mistake. Really big mistake. So for example, let's look. You want to improve. You want to make it for real. So you say, well, you know what, I'm going to learn. And you want to really, really learn. So what you do, you say, well, I'll have to learn from many sources. So you go and check YouTube, lectures, seminars. And the problem is that each source has its own opinion rather than the truth. And so they change your mind. Really, you have to understand, they change your mind. So every time you learn something by someone else, you change your mind. And your problem is that when someone else changes your mind and not you, observing and knowing what you know and multiplying what you know, what happens when someone changes your mind? He become cause, you become an effect. And while you may be able to parrot what he says, it will not help you. This is the secret to why people go to seminars and learn and learn and learn and they actually get worse. They owe more money, they make less money. Most of the time, most of the people that go to seminars and learning, they don't actually make more money. They don't become more successful. It's really fascinating. Why? Because they let someone else be cause and they become effect. How? They let someone else change their mind. Rather than take something that they know and multiply it. They need to grow it. Not someone else need to change their mind. So here's the next law. You can either change or multiply. If you're allowed to change, if you decide that you want to change something, you cannot grow it. So let's see. You take an employee, and he's not doing well. So you replace him, you change him, rather than finding the real issue, rather than finding a way to empower him, and by that multiply his production. And what you get? Exactly, disaster. Or you get into a relationship, and there is a disagreement. And you get a divorce rather than finding why it actually happened and finding a way to strengthen the relationship, and so multiply the strength of the relationship rather than the change to another relationship. So you say, well, since I don't know why, or since I think that something is wrong, so something wrong means I need to change. So meaning to change, I need a new wife or a new husband, and the new wife and new husband will have the same problem because you will continue to change rather than multiply, rather than increase in size, in amount, the good things that you want. Now, why? Why do you change and not simply multiply? Well, I will explain this in detail and much more in the map. I'm going to have a webinar on June 13 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called The Map. And that map, that webinar will give you the basic or the first steps into creating your map to all the things you change in life rather than multiplying, and it will change your life. This one webinar. If you've been in one of my webinars before, you know that it's life-changing. This one especially. So, June 13, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there. Bye-bye.